All right, so tell me some of the things that you have noticed here in chapter 3 as you read. Let's look at this first couple of sentences from here to here. What kind of things did y'all mark?
There's a simile.
Okay.
There's people coming in and out of his house to moths.
All right, good. And what are moths drawn to? And why is that important? Okay. What else is important about light in this time period? Huh? We talked about it a little bit when we were taking notes. That's right. Good. All right, moving out of darkness. Okay, so this is symbolic. What else? Okay, very good. So we see a lot of possessive pronouns. His guests, his blue gardens, his raft, his beach, his motorboats. Okay, good. That's a wonderful thing to notice. Okay, what else? Where's polysyndeton? All right, polysyndeton there. Okay, what else? Okay, so we're going to come back and talk about tone in a minute, so keep that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind. As far as details, all right, I'm seeing a house, gardens, we have the color blue here, okay? Men and girls, so we're not looking at people that are described as being made out of ash, all right? We see men and girls, they're coming and going like moths, and that we have a lot of movement here. Quick movement. And the whisperings and the champagne and the stars, they kind of add a little bit of like romance and mystery through the details. All right, what about this next section starting with at high tide in the afternoon to about the trains down here? What do y'all notice in that section? Starting from here, running to about here. All right, it's like never ending. What else? All right. So his station wagon scampered like a brisk yellow bug. Simile again. And we have a color word. Yellow. So here we have a color word blue, and here we have a color word yellow. And I think it's interesting to note that the gardens are described as blue. So we're going to come back and talk about that. We see a lot of movement here too. Do y'all see that? All right, so we have the motor boats, vehicles. All right, I'm going to circle that as a detail. We have the Rolls Royce. I see that again as kind of like a detail of movement. We also have that station wagon, again, kind of looking at movement. So we have all these vehicles for movement, like literal vehicles. All right, and trains, again, so they're meeting the trains, okay? Looking at this last section of this passage, what do you notice? Starting with "and on Mondays" to ending at "before." Yeah, and. Yeah, I really like that. That's a really good point. You know, within all of this extravagance, there's like a second level. All right, and so these are all the things that they're doing. You know, on Mondays when this is all over, Diet Coke. On Mondays, do you want to go out there and get a cup of coffee or a Diet Coke? You're welcome to. Here, so we're looking here at the idea that on Monday, everything kind of changes because it's the work week. And so we have people who are actually having to get out and actually having to go and repair and take care of the stuff that they've caused, all right, during these parties. All right, what about every Friday, 5 crates of oranges and lemons to the end, to about here? Did y'all notice anything from that? Anything interesting from this section right here? Every Friday, 5 crates of oranges and lemons arrive from a fruitier in New York. Every Monday, these same oranges and lemons left his back door in a pyramid of pulpless halves. Huh? Okay, routine. I like that. I wouldn't have thought of that myself. Okay? And that kind of goes back to what we were saying that, you know, it's never ending. Whoever mentioned that it's just like constant. That, you know, this kind of a party has become kind of a routine. I like that. Anything else? Oh, I like that. Sucks things dry. I kind of got a little chill. Mr. Foster noticed something about that. What, did you want to tell the class?
Kind of the saying it sucks things dry. Like you've got these servants that bring in the whole fruit that has something appealing, the juice of actual fruit. And once the rich people are done with it, all they're left with are the pulpless halves, which you could also, to go back to chapter 2, all this ash comes from the light burning. So it's kind of symbolic of that relationship between the rich and the poor, the have and have not.
All right. So now let's take this information and transfer it to our graphic organizer over here. All right. So as far as diction, as far as word choice, you know, I really am kind of drawn to the word girls because he writes men and girls came and went like moths instead of men and women. And so I feel like that's important connotatively, that he has made that choice. And it's almost as if, like, you know, the idea of them being younger, being girls, being not tied down, allows them to be more carefree than if it were men and women, as if they're older, more matronly, kind of tied down to a family. So it gives them kind of that more, like, free air. All right, summer nights. And then I noticed music, blue gardens, whisperings.
Is it okay if some of these went into details?
Oh, yes. Champagne and stars, because that gives it all kind of like this magical, romantic quality. And it's kind of fun. We have a lot of activity. All right, so then imagery, I believe that you guys pointed out, we have the men and girls came and went like moths. And we talked about how that's light, and it's also a lot of movement. And additionally, you talked about how it scampered like a brisk yellow bug, the station wagon. And again, we have a comparison to a bug, but again, it's also movement. And we kind of have some visual imagery with the boats and the aquaplanes. All right, and so then as far as details, we see a lot of activity. We see water, whereas in the previous passage, it was very dry. All right, we see a lot of movement. where in the previous passage it was very slow. We have workers, and we have our colors mentioned again. What colors are mentioned in this passage? Blue and yellow. What colors are mentioned in the previous passage?
Gray.
Gray and blue and yellow. All right, but blue and yellow are used very differently here. Did y'all see that? Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of oppressive. Yeah. Okay, and so then as far as diction, again, we don't have a lot of dialogue, so I would go with neutral. What about syntax?
There was
Another example of polysyndeton. I can't write today. All right, and we also have kind of some list sentences where we see like his acquisitions. And leisure activities. So if we go back to our yellow pages now and we look for some tone words to describe this passage, what are some possibilities? How might we describe the tone of this passage? Elegant?
grandiose.
Huh? Childish? I like that. Carefree. What else? I see a lot of vibrance and energy. Huh? Envious? What? Competitive? Repetitive? Yeah. I like that, Parker. I would not have said repetitive, but I definitely see that, especially based on the details that we kind of pulled out. And I really kind of like that because it parallels to the repetition in the Valley of Ashes, kind of like the drudgery of their everyday life and how they wake up, they do it again. But here, they're repeating kind of like this party atmosphere. So you really see a contrast in the repetition of each setting and the kind of life that it's kind of like pushing at you. All right, so when you come in here on Thursday, you need to bring with you your rhetorical analysis. And if you have any questions, I'll be around today and tomorrow, and you can ask them. And in your mind, kind of be thinking of two passages that you would like to do this on. All right? And we're going to create a prompt, and we're going to start working through an essay together. Cool? Not cool?